What is going on, and welcome back to another edition of the Pace and Space podcast right here on Pick Swap Media. My name is Sean Barnard, as always, here with my guy Sam Oshtry, and a very special guest today for this edition, Sean Brace, coming back to the program. You know him from 97.5 on air, our former boss, Sean Brace, who connected us in the first place here. A pleasure to be popping back on the sticks. How we doing, Brace?
My boys, what's happening? I've been watching Pace and Space. I love it. Let's keep it going. And yeah, slowly but surely, we're inching closer and closer to Sixers season. I know. You guys have been watching, dialed in. Oh, we played a lot of NBA games already.
Oh, yeah.
But for the general public, the G-pop, as we say, it's inching closer towards everybody's starting to eye up the NBA a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, man, watching some great games. What did I see on Friday night? Houston and Denver. Wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, great game. Give me a playoff series of that right now. And of course, the Sixers have been a ton of fun to watch. And it seems like they're getting a little bit healthier at this point in time. Maybe not. We'll talk about that. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm definitely, I won't lie to you, I'm not on your guys' level when it comes to the NBA conversation, but that's why I'm here. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to lock in, as they say.
You catching any college hoops these days?
Feast week, bro. Feast week.
That time of year.
Are they trying to get rid of Maui? Is Maui done after this year?
I don't think it's done. I just think their event organizers can't compete with the players era, who's just, it's $1 million to participate. And then it's $1 million if you win the whole thing. So with in NIL, it's like you got to be able to offer some cash for these holiday tournaments, and the players era has just been above and beyond. And Maui can't offer that. Plus, it's like an impossible task just to get out to Hawaii. The travel, and it messes up your clock and everything coming back. So it's just like, it's kind of phasing out where there's not going to be a lot of talent unless their event organizers put some real dough behind that tournament. Players era is just going to continue to shoot up in tournaments like that one.
That's sad, man. Maui's something I look forward to every year, and it has been for quite some time. Oh man, what are you going to do? It makes sense. I get it. But man, can we get somebody to step up and say, you know what, here's a check. Let's keep the Maui Invitational going for the sake of Bill Walton's name. At the very least, that's a tough pill to swallow, but it does.
That's what I was about to say there. As I was going to say, I kind of lost it for me with no more Bill Walton on the mic there. As I do think that was his time to shine. And obviously, like that, incredible guy, incredible announcer, incredible player, which we may touch on in our future conversation today, as we're going to dive into a little bit of Nikola Jokić and where he ranks all time. But we got to talk a little bit about what is going on around the NBA right now. So me and Sam have talked about, everything across the association quite a bit. Do want to start right home here in Philadelphia, Embrace, and give your feelings for this Sixers team. So Paul George and Joel Embiid have been ruled out tonight. Paul George going from listed as probable yesterday to out tonight. We're kind of used to the strangeness with Joel Embiid. Paul George not quite as much in that category there. They'll also be without VJ Edgecombe, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Adem Bona. So a shorthanded squad against the Magic today. But we don't going to dive too much into the specifics of that. They're 9-7. They've had some exciting moments. How are you feeling about this Sixers team?
I was going to say, who do they have? And of course, they have the man himself, Tyrese Maxey, right? Yep. Like that's where it all starts. And boys, I do have an MVP ticket. I know it was never going to happen, but I just said this is something. It's like a Kyle Schwarber MVP ticket. It's very similar. And that same, and Schwarber was a little bit more of a decent shot. Tyrese Maxey is a long shot. But dude,
did you get a preseason or when did you get it?
I got a really nice number. I forget what it was. I think it's like something like 90-1, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't preseason. It was a couple games in.
I will say, I don't think it's a 0% chance, Brace.
No, it's not a 0% chance. Hey, one thing we discussed all last year, we said the East is wide open. Well, it's not. The Detroit Pistons are the king of the East, and nobody had that. Are you kidding me? 13 in a row? So there's reality behind that, and we just don't know. Like, we're not going to put the ceiling on Tyrese Maxey's play this year. Can't do that for the Sixers. I think we know where they stand and where they'll end up after it's all said and done. But maybe they do finish a little higher than the consensus thought, and Tyrese Maxey averages, I don't know, throw a number in there. Like, he is lighting it up and he's catching all the right attention and he's taking that next step. He's taking the baton. He is the leader of this team and a guy that, man, I hope everybody is watching. Like, if you're a Sixers fan, this is this dude could very well be one of the top 3 players in franchise history after he's done. After he's done, if he continues on this path, putting on pounds, continues scoring the way he is, team wins, obviously got to back that up. I think we are looking at a special talent in Tyrese Maxey, that one that we could consider a top talent in this franchise's history. And that's where it starts and ends with me with this team. It's been pleasant, Sean and Sam. Like, you know where I'm at. I just want to watch. I want to enjoy. I want to tune in. Nick Nurse said in the offseason that the one thing they're going to do a little bit more is fight, be a little bit more grinders on the floor. And I see that, right? So I'm tuning in, coming off of what we had last year, which is a disaster. They're still trying to fit a couple pieces together. Jared McCain, what's going on there? Obviously, with the Joel Embiid, he plays, then he's out. Paul George back in the mix. It's not an easy task for Nick Nurse. So I'm just grasping onto the small victories. And Tyrese Maxey is not a small victory, pretty gigantic one, but a one that I love to tune in for night in, night out.
Yeah, 100% there. And like, I don't think you're wrong in these takes. Like, Tyrese Maxey is 25 years old, that he's already blown past whatever I think realistic ceiling that we had when he was drafted. And really, every year it feels like he's taken his game to another level that I think was pretty unforeseen in that. But I think we will be having some Mount Rushmore conversation. He's going to break the Sixers 3-point record, which is currently held by Allen Iverson, likely this year, that he's already second in franchise history. And like, if this dude spends the entirety of his career here, which all expectations and all priorities should be that is the case, he's going to put up some ridiculous numbers in this uniform. So, Sam, what do you think about that conversation there? Can Maxey climb that type of ladder?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy on the surface of like he's going to be in the Mount Rushmore conversation, but then you kind of go through the list and it's like, how many guys are really in it? And over the last 2 decades, it's not that many that even have been consideration. I mean, Iverson, of course, is in it. And then you go back way to the 80s with Julius Erving and Barkley and all those guys. But in terms of this generation, it's like Embiid should be in it. And us 3 have debated right here whether Embiid deserves a statue or not.
He does.
But if Maxey doesn't have to do that much to kind of climb and surpass Embiid, yeah, there he is. You got to get a new mural back there.
Hey, whoa. Maxey, there you go.
Throw him next to him. Yeah.
But it's at this point, it's like he doesn't have to do that much to surpass Embiid because, Embiid won the MVP and Maxey probably will never win an MVP. And Embiid's heights and the level he's at will always be greater than Maxey's peak. But
I don't know.
I can't see Maxey winning an MVP.
I'm not ready to say that. Like,
there's the talent in this league is just unbelievable. Like, and I love Maxey, but like, there's such a large tier or such a large gap between the top tier of the Jokic's and the Lukas,
SGAs,
exactly, and then Maxey, and like even the other guards like Cade Cunningham and those guys are taking a leap forward. So it's like Maxey's been awesome. He's taken a huge leap, and he's the guy you want to give your keys to run a franchise. But an MVP, that would be a wild jump.
I mean, I'll just say he's 25 years old. He hasn't even fully entered his official prime yet. He's averaging 33 points per game. Like, he checks every single box. He's been a top 10 player in the league this season, and I don't think he's showing any signs of slowing down as far as progress.
Luka hasn't won an MVP. Think about everything Luka's accomplished, and he's 26, and he hasn't even won MVP. That's how hard it is to win an MVP, and that's why Embiid's peak was so absurd that the Sixers fans and Philadelphia, the city as a whole, I don't know if we'll ever see an athlete be at the peak that Embiid was at. And I mean that. I mean Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, whatever you want to call it. I think we underestimate. It was such a short time frame, but Embiid's peak, that MVP season and the season following, where he was averaging a point a minute, the best per minute score in NBA history, that peak is as high as we will ever see a Philadelphia athlete.
Hey, he scored 50 pretty easy the other night, 54. I think he can get to what was Embiid's total that one game? 70?
Yeah.
All right, keep letting it fly, young man. But look, you're right. Like, when you really do break it down, Sam, it is, wow, there are some names, and it's a mountain of a climb. However, to Sean's point, he does continue to improve every season. With that, if he continues to gain, like, I'm not saying gain weight, but just his mass, like, he is turning into just a beast of a dude. And then next thing, if that continues to go, and oh, by the way, it's about attention, right? So it's like he can score average 45 for the rest of the season. He probably would not get the votes to win the MVP because he just busted on the scene for a lot of people out there. But if he does it next year, if he does it 2 years in a row, Now you're in that conversation where it's like, no, this isn't, some no-name guy. This is a guy that's been doing it. This is a guy that's been an all-star, for the past 3 seasons. So he should be in that MVP discussion. Again, we're a long ways away, but these are the things that are hitting me in the first couple weeks of this season. And I'm extremely excited and surprised at the same time that that's what's going through my mind about the 76ers organization.
And they're fun. Like they're fun. And it's not just Maxey, it's VJ Edgecombe, who is going to be a guy that can share the backcourt with Maxey for a long time. It's like you have that backcourt of your future to build with, where you're set up for the post Embiid era. And I think that's what this year was about. It was getting younger, it was getting more athletic, it was building a team that can play at a faster pace to that kind of fits that backcourt, and being set up for the post-Embiid era. And they don't have to live or die with whether Embiid plays every single night or whether Paul George plays every single night. And that's a good place to be, especially coming off of how disastrous last season was.
Yeah, 100% there. And I will note, not to fully transition from the Sixers here, but my Detroit Pistons at the top of the Eastern Conference.
You're going to be your Detroit Pistons until they actually play the Sixers in the first round. And
when did that happen? When did all of a sudden you take on Motown?
When they were playing the Knicks in the playoffs,
and I made remember we went deep. We went deep.
I was early to this Detroit Pistons game, and it was hyping them up preseason a little bit as well. So Cade Cunningham and Tyrese Maxey, in my mind, they're pretty clear top 2 guards in the Eastern Conference, at least this season so far. Brace, any other teams that have stood out for you in the early portion of the season, maybe surprises, positive or negative, anything that you want to dive into specifically?
I would just say like the Oklahoma City Thunder seem to be just in a world of their own. And I don't know when that train is going to stop. That's the sad, not sad, whatever. It is what it is. We're just looking at a great team. Name drop. I was talking to Elton Brand 2 weeks ago about it. Just like, dude, what is going on down in OKC? And he's just like, man, it's just unstoppable. They have an incredible arsenal of talent and just the front office and what they've been able to put together. And it more about SGA than anything, right? Like I was watching a video the other day about Coach Cal, and he spoke about why he didn't play and what he did behind the scenes and everything he was doing. Dude, I don't remember this. SGA had a hitch in his shot at Kentucky. He had an ugly ass shot. Like it was ugly. And he had to work through that. And he's been through a ton. And oh, by the way, we know the history of what took place with the Clippers, and then we know how he ended up with OKC. And it's just it's an unbelievable story if people don't really know the details in that. But OKC, the one team that really is jumping off the page at me more than anything right now would be OKC. And it's unfortunate because we know how talented they are. They won the championship. But man, like who is even in their wheelhouse? Like, is there a team that you could say could potentially give them a run for their money? Is it the Nuggets? Is there any team out there that could give them a run for their money, say if the playoffs started today?
Sam would make the Denver Nuggets case. I would make the Houston Rockets case a little bit. I think that there is like a smash mouth style of basketball that I think can kind of going to beat the Thunder at their own game to an extent here. Kevin Durant is like a finishing piece. And yeah, the depth. Shout out to Rocky the Birds fan chiming in. A guy like AJ Mitchell, who I think on several teams around the league would be a starting caliber player. Is a guy that's just been buried as bench depth for a couple seasons now, pops off the page this year and just looks like a top 100 player in the league. He's unbelievable. And I'll also note the Thunder, they have a chance at 4 different lottery picks this year, depending on how things break, including the Clippers, which is shaping up to be a potential top 5 pick, depending on how things play out there. The rich are only going to get richer. I had this take 2 weeks ago on here. I think the 73-9 record by the Warriors is in play for them this year. I think they have a chance to break that.
It absolutely is. And they kind of remind me of the Eagles in a way, and maybe not the current Eagles because of how much drama is going on right now. But in terms of their organizational structure and how much light years ahead, Howie Roseman is and that front office is than everybody else in the NFL. That's kind of what the Thunder are, where they acquire picks and pick swaps. They were on the pick swap wave early, where now every team wants pick swaps because it gives you a better brand position. But yeah, exactly. But the Thunder were on this early years ago. They were acquiring all these pick swaps that have put them in great positions to draft these really young players. And then it's their scouting and developmental system where they have guys who just sit on the bench for a couple years, developing, learning the game, and then they're immediately ready to go in these crucial situations where AJ Mitchell and Aaron Wiggins and guys like that have to step up when Jalen Williams is out, and there is no drop off in the team's production on both ends of the floor. And of course, everything with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, how they identified him from the Clippers of a guy they wanted and how he's developed. Chet, I mean, this whole team is just on a whole nother level. And organizationally, they're on a whole nother level than the rest of the NBA. And that's why they're set up for a dynastic run. And it's similar with the Eagles. Of course, some of the personnel is drama filled and they need to get rid of that. But from the front office and how they operate, scouting, developing, how Howie Roseman's been at the draft with trades, kind of manipulating the cap and everything, they are just on a different level. And when your organization's on a different level, it always trickles down to the players and the players you acquire and how they develop. And the Thunder are just, there's no way they don't win multiple championships this decade.
Yeah, there's one more from me on that, Sean. It's just, like when you win the championship, the bullseye is on your back. You get the best effort from everybody. And they've lost one game out of 18.
And Jalen Williams hasn't played yet.
Yeah, like there's a couple things we can go down the list. Like they're not even at their potential. Like the season just started.
They haven't even been close. Like these games aren't even close.
No. It's like they lost one game out of 18. It's scary, man. This very well could be a team that we're talking about. Yeah, breaks that record and loses 6-7 games this season. It's just incredible to even say those words out loud.
By the way, you know who that one loss was to?
The Blazers.
Portland. Yeah, the Portland Trail Blazers of all teams there, which is pretty absurd. And shout out to our guy, Rocky the Birds fan, getting involved in the conversation. New dude to the program. This is the Godfather, Sean Brace, right here. The guy who really put this all together in the first place. So shout out to Brace for hopping on right here.
I am a new dude, though, man. I'm a new guy. I'm fresh. I'm new. I'm just ready to go, man. Here we go. All
rejuvenated.
New.
I like it.
That's it.
I like it. Sam, to kind of dig in a little bit on this Denver Nuggets conversation. So you would make the case that is the top threat to threaten this Oklahoma City Thunder team, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
And why exactly would you say that is the case?
Well, look, this Nuggets team that was significantly worse last year than this year took the Thunder to 7 games. And you could also argue the Thunder are better. I think both teams honestly elevated. But that was not a good Nuggets team last year. They fired their coach towards the end of the year. They only played 6 guys really throughout the playoffs, and Russell Westbrook was one of them, which tells you everything you need to know. So they had no depth the way they do this year. They had Michael Porter Jr., who had just been a shell of himself in the playoffs the last couple seasons. And
I will interject, Westbrook kind of won him a game in the playoffs, I will note.
Maybe one game. He also lost them, maybe 3 or 4. So I just think this Nuggets team was so much better, and they still took the Thunder to 7 games last year, and it came down to that final game in the second round. So I think this Nuggets team is on a different level with Jamal Murray's healthy and playing some of his best basketball of his career. Aaron Gordon's out now for a few weeks, but he is playing the best basketball of his career. They have the best player in that series and the best player in the world in Jokić. That the Thunder did some things to guard him last year with really putting Caruso on him for stretches and fronting him and using kind of a 5-man as a shadow. But it wasn't like, that worked to an extent, but it wasn't Jokić that lost in the series at all. He was still terrific. It was really he didn't have enough help. And I think he does have enough help this year where the Thunder are amazing. I mean, this is a clash between 2 titans, but I do think the Nuggets would be in a good position to knock them out in a potential Western Conference semis or even second round if it comes to that. But there's really only 3 teams that have a chance to win the championship this year. And it's the Rockets, it's the Thunder, and it's the Nuggets. I don't see any scenario where any other team can win the title.
Yeah, it does feel like the Eastern Conference is straight up playing for second this year. And it's kind of unfortunate to have that takeaway this early in the season. But to speak to the Nuggets specifically, a lot of this centers around your belief in Nikola Jokić. And we've had some of these debates and
transition there.
Yeah, we're trying to dig into trying to be a professional here, Sam, picking up the sticks a little, getting better here. But for the Jokić conversation as a whole, a lot of this dates back to how good is this dude really? Now, I'm not going to fight you about him being the best player in the NBA. I would fight you, and I don't think there's this mile-wide gap between him and SGA in the way that you oftentimes make it out to be. But I wanted to expand the conversation a little bit larger than that. Sean Brace, I want your input on this. When speaking about Nikola Jokić as an all-time great talent, which he certainly has played himself into that conversation, just how high on that list do you believe that he has climbed?
See, I'm infatuated with ring culture. Like when you get into this conversation, you have to bring rings into it.
Sure.
And don't take my word for it. You got all-time greats. Charles Barkley is well documented on this, that like he misses out on these conversations because he never won a championship. Joker's got one. He's got a long way to go. He's got pretty good career already. 3 MVPs. The resume is lengthy, but it comes down to, why do we play this game? You got to make your team better. You got to rise in those moments. You can't be exiting in round 2 of the NBA playoffs. You got to get there, and you got to win those championships if you want to be considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest, at your position. At this point in time, I think you could make a case that he's 10, 9, 11, but I would probably put him around like the 14 to 15 mark. That's where I would have him right here, right now. Long way to go. Again, he's got 1 ring, right? Like, I can't put him in front of a guy like Shaq. Shaq's got multiple championships.
Agreed.
Shaq was the most dominant player I've ever seen in my life. Jordan was Jordan, LeBron's LeBron, but Shaq, for my money, man, pound for pound, nobody was stopping him. Nobody did stop him. And he's got those rings to back it up. So if you were asking me to say, okay, well, who would you have at that position ahead of, I can't put him in front of Shaq at this point in time. Will that be the case in 5 years from now? I don't know. How many more years does Joker have at this level of play?
Let's address 2 points there, Brees. First off, he's only 30 years old. And his durability is unbelievable. I mean, the guy is never hurt. He, knock on wood, he always plays. Always. Yep. Even in regular season games where guys who aren't hurt still sit those games. The guy is always showing up and playing basketball. So his durability is awesome. He's 30 years old. And over the last 5 seasons, he's gotten better every single season. This is the best season of his career right now. And then the second point is, so his prime is going to go on for a lot more years. And the second point is yeah, like I've always been a rings guy too, right? Like, you can say Jordan's the best ever because he has 6 rings, and like Kobe has 5, LeBron only has 4. Like, but there's so many factors that goes into rings in the era, and in the era we're in, it's harder to win NBA championships than ever before because we don't have any more super teams that exist. Super teams just don't exist. So LeBron joining up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh can't happen anymore. And Jordan putting a team together, he didn't put the team together. I mean, obviously it was a natural fit, but like him playing with 2 other all-stars is it's so rare to happen in today's NBA. And that's why we've seen more parity than ever. There's been 7 different champions, or even more than that, going back to the 2018 Warriors. So it's just harder to win than ever before. So guys like Jokić and Giannis and SGA and all these all-time great players, when they're done their careers, are going to finish with less rings than some of the superstars of the 2000s and the 90s. And that's just a fact. So I think we have to recalibrate our expectations for rings based on that.
I think that's fair. I think you're definitely a little over the top as far as we're not going to see. We just saw it last year. Jalen Williams and SGA were all-stars. So
yeah, there was only 2 though. There's only
Chet
2.
Will be. Chet will make an all-star game.
Yeah.
And Jalen won't this year. But by the way, while we're talking about all-stars, Jokić has never played with an all-star in his entire career. Not one.
To interject on that point, if we want to get technical, he has with Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan.
Not that season. Not like at some point in their careers.
Jamal Murray
never been all-star that season.
Murray's going to help the conversation, but Russell and DeAndre Jordan is not going to help our argument.
Well, DeAndre Jordan, really?
I mean, that's an inaccurate statement that he's never played with an all-star. Is all that I'm pointing out.
As they're on the same team.
And Jamal Murray has had multiple all-star quality seasons. He has not made it due to injury reasons. He's also looked like a superstar in the postseason on several of these playoff runs. And Michael Porter Jr., I get he gets a lot of hate. He is no slouch. That is a dude that can score the basketball with the best of them. He's not played with zeros in the way that the conversation is made out.
They had a great team. Again, where do you have them, Sam?
It's tough. So I also wanted Sean to pinpoint a number because what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I supposed to compare Jokić to
Would you have him in front of Shaq?
Of course, without question.
Would you have him in front of Hakeem?
Yes, without question.
That's crazy.
I have him in front of KD.
Would you have him in front of Kareem?
Absolutely.
Oh,
get out of here. Get out of here.
Absolutely.
So, dude, Kareem.
All right, so to make the full resume for Nikola Jokić.
Wait, before we get into actual list, he is the greatest big man who's ever played basketball, hands down.
He's not. So to give the Jokić resume right here, he's a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, a 3-time MVP, the 2023 champion, the 2023 Finals MVP, career averages of 21.9 points, 11.0 rebounds, and 7.3 assists. I'm not saying the dude is bad at basketball by any means, but luckily for you guys, I did the homework here. I ran all the numbers, and Nikola Jokić is the 49th best basketball player of all time.
See, like this is a bit. Like this is a bit by you. You can't say he's the 49th best player, and you want me to have a serious conversation.
You can't say he's better than Kareem, though. You can't say that.
He is.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's a 6-time scoring champ, 2 times Finals MVP, 19-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 11-time All-Defensive Player. That's a better player than Nikola Jokić.
I don't think so because he played in the 70s. And Nikola Jokić is playing in the 2020s, where the talent is as great as it's ever been in this league. If you put Jokić in the 70s or 60s with Chamberlain and Kareem or all these guys, he is the greatest player of all time. You put Kareem or Wilt in this era, these guys are just average centers.
That ain't right, Sam.
It's true, though.
Right.
I disagree.
The talent that's good as it's ever been.
Right
I don't care about resumes from the 60s and 70s.
No,
so I disagree.
Kareem was one of the greatest players of all time. LeBron just broke his record. His record was up for every. Think about. Okay, look, you could talk about the level of play of players across the league. But year in, year out, the Celtics and Lakers were the best 2 teams, and they made the championship every single year. And you can't tell me that those rosters were slouches. No, those rosters were filled with some greats, some all-time great players. And Kareem ripped them up, man. Kareem was bad.
The thing is, this is what happens when you have these debates. You want to discount you have to discount a different player's career when you're comparing someone. I'm not discounting Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career. He's definitely a top 10 player of all time.
You just took a shot at 2 decades of the NBA history. Yeah, you just took a shot at him.
Because you're comparing it to now. I'm not I love history in the NBA. I love history and I love NBA history. But when you're comparing it to contemporary times, the amount of competition and the amount of people playing basketball and the pace of play and everything that goes into how great the game is now, it's on a whole different level.
He's the greatest big man of all time, is what Sam says. I definitely can't get there right now. Will I change my tune in 6-7 years? Maybe.
So here's one thing before Sean goes. Here's one thing Sean didn't include in Nikola Jokic's resume.
What's that?
Player efficiency rating over his career. He has the highest player efficiency rating in NBA history. You know who's number 2? Michael Jordan. You know who's number 3? LeBron James. And Jokić tops those guys. And that stat kind of tells you his impact on winning, his impact on the basketball floor when he's actually present on it. He is the greatest in NBA history in player efficiency rating.
Who are you taking, Wilt or Joker?
It's Wilt comfortably. It's Wilt comfortably. Not even close.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean, if you put Wilt in today's NBA,
he's incredible. He's incredible.
Oh my God. He was playing against white dudes who were my size and who were plumbers and had second jobs.
This is Wilt Chamberlain's resume.
I don't care about his career versus guys who were plumbers and had to have second jobs to make a living in the NBA when nobody was playing basketball.
That's so disrespectful. Disrespectful.
To walk with you, Sam, I agree with you that the NBA is harder than ever. I agree with you that it is not an apples to apples comparison to look at these guys back in the day. I don't agree that you can completely discount that era of basketball like it did not happen in the way that this conversation. Wilt's resume.
Discounting it. I'm trying not to discount it. I'm just uplifting today's era, which you seem to be discounting, and how much greater the competition is.
Hold that point, because I'll circle back to some recent guys that I want to dig on. Wilt Chamberlain's career stats here, career resume: 13-time All-Star, 7-time scoring champ, 16-time rebounding champ, 4-time MVP, 2-time champion, 2-time All-Defense. His career averages were 30.1 points, 22.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 2.0 blocks there. He averaged 48.5 minutes per game over a season, meaning he played every single minute of the season and overtime over the length.
Have you ever seen film of the 100-point game?
There's Wilt Chamberlain film out there.
Of the 100-point game?
I can't even count. Wilt is in this world of his own.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't even count.
How am I supposed to compare him to anybody?
You don't think Shaq would eat him up?
They made rules.
Shaq would eat Joker up. You don't think Shaq?
Shaq would dominate offensively. Shaq would dominate Joker,
and defensively.
Jokić would do the same thing. Jokić would annihilate Shaq. You can't. And there's no one in NBA history who could ever guard Jokić one-on-one.
My thing is this: it's so
Joel
tough.
Embiid.
Absolutely not.
He has. He can and has.
In certain regular season matchups 5 years ago, you think Jokic is the player he was 5 years ago?
In both their primes.
5 years.
In both their primes. I watched with my own
prime. Jokic is in his prime. I don't even know if he's entered his prime. He's that good. His prime is right now. His prime was not 5 years ago when he won his first MVP. He has become a night and day player compared to them. They haven't played in 5 years. And what's the reason they haven't played in 5 years?
Injuries. Yeah.
Yeah. To who? One guy, not the other.
Sure. It's a lot. It's pretty difficult to get injured when you don't sprint or jump over the duration of a basketball game. The way that
Who cares how he does it? Who cares how he does it?
So I'll get my two. I'm not a Jokic guy. I've been incredibly open about
that. How could we have known?
My two specific critiques of him directly is, number one, he's a bad defender. You can throw whatever numbers you want in my face. He's an atrocious defender. He's bottom tier in the NBA. Whatever steals do not make up for his lack of rim protection. And I personally feel, as a basketball brain here, it is incredibly essential for your center to be the anchor of a defense. Now, the Nuggets deserve a ton of credit for bringing in Aaron Gordon and being able to combat that with a really unique pairing there. The other part of the Jokic conversation that I still can't get past here, he doesn't truly care about basketball in the way an all-time great should. And obviously he does. He takes pride in it. He works at it, all these things.
That's so ridiculous.
But it means something to me to watch a guy say, I am dying to win this game. I will do whatever it takes. And Jokic doesn't do that and is pretty open about not doing that.
What are you talking about?
He likes horse racing.
He does.
What? Nothing wrong with that. How do you think? Do you think someone just becomes the greatest player of the decade out of nowhere? For you to say he doesn't prioritize or care about basketball, how do you think he becomes as good as he is?
So I'll put it this way.
He cares so much that he works more than anybody, harder than anybody.
I work hard at my job too, Sam.
What?
I work hard at my job too, Sam.
What the hell does that have to do with anything? We're not comparing.
He's required. That's his profession. He's required to work at basketball.
But don't you think the other guys would also be as good as him if they worked this hard? He cares more than anybody. He works harder than anybody, which is why he's as good as he is. You don't become the greatest basketball player, one of the greatest basketball players of all time by accident. You become that because of the work that you put in. And he has this nonchalant attitude. That's just kind of the approach he takes.
He does.
Everybody who's been around him, who talks about him, who says anything about him, says that is not who he is. He cares more than anybody. You see him coaching up his team. He was the coach in the playoffs last season. He was yelling at guys, getting everyone in the right position because he was the coach over David Edelman after Mike Malone got fired. He cares more than anybody about winning. Just because he in his press conferences he has a nonchalant attitude does not mean that's who he is in his heart and his head.
He definitely cares. I'm just saying, on the scale of a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, an Allen Iverson, of guys like that, it's not even close. And Jokic would be the first person to tell you that. Now, you mentioned modern basketball. I want you to make the case to me right now. Why is Nikola Jokic a better all-time talent than Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Well, let's start with the 3 MVPs that Jokic has.
Giannis has 2.
Okay, compared to 2. Let's start with the fact that over this decade, you don't like the advanced analytics, right? You don't like the advanced analytics. You always question them, even though
Giannis is a pretty excellent as well.
Whoa, not even close to Jokic. Are you kidding me? You want to compare advanced analytics between these two? Not even close. What's Giannis's PER? He's 8th all time, but Jokic
that's
is
pretty close.
Okay, but that's a huge gap between 1 and 8 in terms of PER. Jokic is number 1 in PER. Number 1. You go to player impact estimate, PI, all these advanced ratings. You go on and off. See, now you're saying these are fake stats, but you can't just discount advanced analytics, which is what teams and front offices use to evaluate players, evaluate teams, guys who are coming out of the draft, everything. So you can't just say they're fake stats. But you want me to show how one player is better than the other because you don't like the advanced analytics. You want me to give it to you raw? I'll give it to you raw. Here's some raw numbers. Here's some raw numbers for you. Over this decade, who has led the entire NBA in points, in rebounds, in assists, in steals? Who's also playing the NBA this decade? A guy named Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those are raw numbers for you. Jokic has surpassed him. And guess what? There's not been a single player in NBA history who has led in 4 out of the 5 major categories throughout an entire decade. And Jokic is on pace to do that this decade. He will become the first ever. So who's also playing this decade is one of the best players of the decade? Giannis. Not even compare. He hasn't even compared to Jokic. Hasn't even touched him.
I think it's
also, you want to talk about Giannis? When was the last time Giannis made it out of the first round of the playoffs?
And you want to talk about the team around him? Where are these all-stars that Giannis has played with? How do the
Damian
Bucks look like without him? And how many games did he play? How many
Milwaukee
games did he play
had some good teams over the past few years.
It is Middleton.
It is an
his
interesting.
best co-star.
When you bring up Giannis, that is intriguing because I think there is a conversation to be had there. It's like, okay, if you were to say, like, give me the best player for the last 5 to 10 years between those two, and I know 2015 is when Joker was drafted. When was Giannis drafted?
13, I think.
So I don't know if that's a fair way to look at it past 10 years, but like Giannis has got some unbelievable numbers, man. He's got ridiculous stats. So I do think that is an interesting conversation when you do pin those players head to head. Oh no, though, I'm probably I'm taking Joker over Giannis. Definitely.
Well, I'll tell you what Giannis has done that Jokic hasn't. For starters, they have the same amount of championships. It's 3-2 as far as MVPs, which of course Jokic gets the nod there. They have the same amount of finals MVPs. Giannis also has 1 Defensive Player of the Year, a Most Improved award, is an 8-time All-NBA player, which is more than Jokic there, a 9-time All-Star, which is more than Jokic there, a 5-time All-Defensive Team member, which Jokic will never remotely crack that list there. He's the tone setter on both ends of the floor, in which Jokic is not. And I think that is a pretty comparable comparable rosters, if you want to break it down like that.
So what about its impact on winning? Like, you say all these things about defense and all that. What about its impact on winning? Whose team has won significantly more games? Whose team has gone significantly further in the playoffs? That's been Jokic. While Giannis has actually played with All-Stars, you can say whoever's the best, whatever. He's played with All-Stars. Jokic has not played with All-Stars, and Jokic has still won. All the advanced analytics that evaluate a player's impact on winning, Jokic clears him in all of them. Giannis is great. There's nothing discounted. I have nothing bad to say about Giannis, but there's levels to this when you're talking about him versus Jokic, and Jokic has surpassed him in every raw number, advanced analytic, MVPs, anything you would want to look at in terms of who's a better player and who impacts winning more. Jokic is better. And then you want to look at defense. Fine, you can give me the defense all you want. Guess what?
Matters.
Does it though? Because guess what? Kevin Durant's right. If you're that great offensively, it kind of X's out your whatever impact you have defensively. And I will argue Jokic is a much better defender than you give him credit for. But it doesn't even matter because the offense is so much more important in basketball that if you're that great offensively, and there's all kinds of statistics to evaluate this in terms of your impact on winning that gives how much you impact winning offensively versus defensively, and then your total net rating, all these things. Jokic is so historically amazing offensively. It doesn't even matter what he does defensively. When the Nuggets won the championship, they had the 15th best defense in the league. It was a league average defense, but they were so great offensively because they have such a great offensive player. Defense doesn't matter in that context. It just doesn't. You can say it all you want, but in terms of who wins the basketball games, offense is so much more important.
Kevin Durant, you mentioned, that's also a guy who's had a better career than Nikola Jokic.
No chance. Not even close. There's literally no chance. KD has 1 MVP.
Should I list off the resume of Kevin Durant here?
Why do you put zero context names? What you're going to say is 2 finals MVPs compared to 1 final MVP. What you're not going to say is that Kevin Durant joined a 73-win team and played on maybe the greatest team in basketball history. Jokic has not done that. Does that not matter to you at all?
It does to an extent. I mean,
to an extent, it's the most important piece of the whole thing.
It all matters. Like, all of it matters. His 2 scoring champions matter to me. His 11 All-NBA teams matter to me. His 15 All-Stars. His 4-time scoring champ records do matter to me for Kevin Durant there.
Why don't you care about winning more? Why don't you care about winning more? Well,
I also give this points to Kevin Durant, which I think works against Jokic here. And this is sort of one of those, I guess, the system versus the player debates. If Nikola Jokic, if you're on Nikola's team, you are playing Jokic-style basketball. Kevin Durant, you can pick up and put on any single roster.
Sure, and how's that worked out for each squad? Oh, you just pick them up on the Nets. How'd they do? Put them on the Suns. How'd they do? How do those Oklahoma City Thunder teams do before he joined Steph Curry?
Pretty well.
Pretty well. They won a championship, though?
They pushed.
They won a championship?
Semifinals.
So I don't care about the style. Who cares? All that matters is winning. You keep bringing up finals MVPs, championships. But then you're discounting everything that leads to winning. Scoring championships don't necessarily lead to winning. Everything Jokic does leads to winning.
You mentioned winning. I like this comment from our guy, Rocky the Birds fan here, because this will be offensive to me, Sam Oshtry. Would you put Jokic over Duncan?
Of course I would.
Oh, get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
Like, it's not even a question who was the better player. And look, these aren't like, you're not discounting. Context matters. Like, you could say then, okay, then Kobe Bryant won more championships than LeBron James. He's better, right? No, of course not. Of course not, because who they played with and everything that their situations and their franchises, all that matters. Tim Duncan played on one of the greatest franchises in NBA history with 3 other Hall of Famers, with a Hall of Fame coach. All of that matters. So yeah, his 5 titles is awesome. Jokić has not had that and still been so amazing. So context matters, or else then who was the most? Bill Russell's the greatest player of all time. If you don't look at context to it,
he is up
Jokić. Bill Russell's better than Jokić.
Look, I think Tim Duncan easily, for my money, we know what his nickname was, the big fundamental. Like, he easily the best big man when he was drafted to when he played, all the hype in the world coming in, number 1 overall pick. And the reason why the Spurs were able to do what they were able to do is because of Tim Duncan. It wasn't David Robinson, at the back end of his career. I know that David Robinson was an awesome player. Sean Elliott, obviously the great coach. Don't get me wrong there. But all in all, we're talking about Tim Duncan was one of, if not the best power forward to ever play the position. But it's tough, man. Like right here, right now, I can't put Joker ahead of Tim Duncan. Can't do it. If we're going to compare resumes, I can't do it. Not there yet. He's not there yet.
Why don't we if you want to look at each individual era, why don't we take each era and we can do it by decade? Like, Jokić has dominated this decade, and he will continue to, because he's only getting better in a way nobody else has ever dominated their decade. And I gave you the 3 MVPs.
That's not true. That's not true.
Listen. I gave you the 3 MVPs. I've given you the fact that he leads this decade in points, in rebounds, in assists, in steals. 4 of the 5 major categories, which nobody has ever done. Let's go to last decade. LeBron probably dominated the decade, but you're going to make an argument for Steph a lot of those years. KD was never even a factor in terms of dominating that decade. It was LeBron or it was Steph. It was LeBron or Steph. The 2000s, you keep talking about Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan didn't dominate that decade. I would give that decade to Kobe. I would give Kobe also had 5 championships in that decade.
Both better than Jokić.
I'll give you.
Yeah, I was saying from that position. You're right. If you want to say he's absolutely in that conversation as far as dominating that decade, though, it would be the Lakers, of course, and the Spurs.
And like Bill Russell dominated his decade more than Jokić has this one. Michael Jordan dominated his decade at least to the same level.
100%.
I would say more than Jokić.
Trust me, I won't argue Michael Jordan, but that's what I'm saying. Think about everyone who's
Kareem in the 80s.
Think about everyone who's really been the best player in their decade. It's Jordan in the 90s, and then in the 80s was Magic and Bird kind of split that decade, and then Kareem was kind of there in the 70s and 80s too. And sure, I'll give you like Bill Russell and Wilt, but like everyone who's really dominated their decade, it's really only been Jordan in the 90s. 2000s, split decade, Kobe, Duncan, Shaq, a little bit in there. 2010s, yeah, it was LeBron's decade, but Steph was also in there. This decade has been Jokic's decade. It's been Jordan in the 90s. It's been Jokić in the 2020s. Those are only 2 guys who have dominated their decade.
Why does he have a fraction of the rings of all those guys that you just mentioned?
That was my point at the top of the show when Brace was talking about ring culture. It's that it's harder than ever to win. That's why there's been so much parity. Like, there's never been this much parity in the NBA. There's a different champion every single year because it's harder to win, because it's harder to assemble a team with as many all-stars with the second apron and these other cap rules that have been instituted. It just is.
So another point you constantly make to me about Jokić is with the playmaking here. Now, I personally feel he's undoubtedly a very talented playmaker. I think there's a bit of a novelty that comes with the fact that he's a big man dishing out in the way that he does. Where does he rank as far as all-time best playmakers of all time? Because I have at least 15 names that I think that are better.
Grace, you want to take this one?
No, go ahead, because I was just looking at the 80s, and I just wanted to make sure that I was correct, because it's tough. You know, you would probably say Magic over Kareem for that decade.
And Jokić.
And Jokić, yeah, in the 80s, exactly. But Kareem, you know, like I said, it was those 2 teams, and Larry Bird as well on the flip side with the Celtics. I apologize. Run that question back one more time, Sean.
So Sam constantly makes the point about Jokic's playmaking. There's no doubt that he's an incredibly talented playmaker, among the best in the league currently. I feel that there's a bit of a novelty from the stance of he's a big man dishing out like this. Where does he rank on just the pure playmaking? I think I have 15 names at least that are better than him as a playmaker all time.
Wow. Well, first of all, the numbers for the assists, are through the roof. And I get it. Yeah, he's flashy.
7.3.
Playing
7.3 in his career.
He leads the NBA in assists right now.
Yeah. I was looking at that earlier today. Yeah, there is part of that, though, Sean, as far as he's doing it as a big man. But, man, he is really crafty, very skilled. Playmakers, he's up there. 15. Go ahead. Shed some light on your list here. I'd love to hear it.
I'll rip down. You can interject when you feel, Sam Oshtry. Magic Johnson, John Stockton.
Oh, you're going all-time playmakers.
Correct. Yeah.
How
Jason
about
Kidd.
Who right now, present day playing, would you say is on that list?
Okay, active. We got LeBron James. Any disputes there?
Yeah, I think Jokic is a better passer than LeBron James. Absolutely.
At this point of his career?
Definitely at this point, but I think when both their careers are said and done, Jokic is the better passer.
I would disagree with that. Also,
okay. I think it's up there. Go ahead, though.
I have 3 active on here. 4 if you want to count in peak Chris Paul.
Who could you possibly have active on there?
Luka Doncic and James Harden.
Luka's on a different level. I could maybe give you Luka. Here's the thing. I've never seen a player create open shots for himself or other players or his teammates as frequently as I have Jokic. Never. Like, as great as LeBron is as a passer, and we know what he is as a passer and how much defense he commands and how his vision is unbelievable, Jokic is on a different tier as a passer. We usually forget the highlights. Like, you don't even have to watch the highlights of everyone sees the behind the back and the crazy passes. That how could you possibly know a player is going to be in that spot? His court mapping ability is unbelievable. But that's like the highlight stuff that everybody sees. Consistently, how he finds an open shot for his teammates, whether it's an assist or a hockey assist, or how he gets the defensive rotation because you have to change your whole defensive coverage to guard him, is unlike anything I've ever seen since I've been watching basketball. He makes his teammates better than anybody I've ever watched, and I watched prime LeBron James.
Interesting there. So I'm looking at my list again. I don't think there's an argument for him cracking the top 30. I think the 30 guys that I have in there are all.
You mean all time, or you mean passing?
All time. I'm going back to the all time.
This is just ridiculous. And see, you know what's going to happen, Brace? Now it's going to turn into a Justin Herbert thing, where it's just like it's going to be so much hate, and it's just like I have to fight the Jokic battle. It's a ridiculous battle to fight. I mean, there's nobody who has the opinion that you have right now. Nobody has the opinion.
You can hate Justin Herbert. That's fine, but hating the Joker is a different level. Like,
my hate has softened for Nikola Jokic. I used to have far more stronger hatred for him than I currently.
You know where it's deep seated from.
Embiid.
This is because
Embiid.
It's because of Embiid, but it's specifically because Nuggets fans were very mean to Sean in his DMs. And I get why you would hold a grudge against Jokic because of that. But the Embiid Jokic debate has far been resolved. It was not even a question now in terms of their careers. And I think you should let that disdain go by you. Maybe we'll get you a therapist, whatever you need to get these Nuggets fans off your chest. But I don't think you should let it impact how you view one of the greatest players to ever play the game. It's going to ruin your basketball watching experience as you see him continue to ascend.
I don't know how calling him the 49th best player of all time can be perceived as an insult here.
Wow.
Like,
there's 3 guys. There's 9 guys who only have 3 MVPs in NBA history. Where do you get 49 from?
So I assume your top list of the best players of all time are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who has 6, mind you, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Moses Malone, Nikola Jokic, and Dr. J. You've already discounted several of those.
Well, so I would discount several of them compared to Jokic. None of those would go beyond the top 25 players in NBA history.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Like that is crazy, Sam.
Who? I mean, Moses Malone is the only one that I see like shouldn't be on the list. Who else would not be in the top 25 in NBA history on that list?
Oh, I thought you were saying none of those guys make the top 25.
Oh, no. All of them do. That's the point.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Joker is a little light on your list, Sean, as far as 49. Come on, man. And by the way, finished runner-up the one year, right, to Joel. Correct. What about the other years? Did he have a runner-up then? Like, this dude has been dominant. It feels like every
last year he was a runner-up to Shea.
Yeah. So, we're talking about potentially 5 MVPs could very well at this point in time of his career. He's not done. I think we're gonna all have to agree to disagree, but
yeah,
man, it's I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Sam than you, Sean. I gotta be honest with you. Just a little.
Moderator Brace comes in.
Just a little bit. I think he's definitely a little over the top, no doubt. But I could see his vision. You 49. I don't know, man. Come on, like he is.
But like a guy like Hakeem, to me, there's no argument. He's got 2 championships. He averaged 32, 11, and 5, and 2 blocks a game over 2 playoff runs, being the best player on both sides of the floor. Defense just matters to me to a rate that it does not to you, Sam.
Look, defense matters to me to an extent. I'm not discounting defense, but there's always been players.
Say to that. I really do. I would be curious to know what he would say about that. That's a good question. But go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
There's always players who are so great offensively, transcend offensive basketball, that it doesn't matter what they do defensively. Like Steph Curry was the same way, and Steph Curry's become a much better defender. Don't get me wrong. But Steph Curry, early in his career, when he won those 2 MVPs and some of those early championships, he was a negative defender, no doubt. But when you're that great offensively, you're the greatest shooter of all time, it doesn't matter what you do defensively. And that's what it's become with Jokić. But I also will say, you don't give nearly enough credit to Jokić, who's become a much better defender. And when you look at advanced analytics, he's actually a plus defender. It's not like this guy you say is an awful defender. He's a plus defender this season, especially when the Nuggets have one of the best defenses in the league right now. And in terms of his net points impact, which is a stat that you'll discount, but Dean Oliver, who's the creator of the 4 factors, one of the greatest minds in basketball analytics, Dean Oliver created this net points stat for ESPN, which shows you the impact of each player has on their side of the floor. And Jokić is a +5 defensively. So he's actually been a positive defender.
Can you answer me why assist percentage is used as a part of the calculation for these defensive advanced analytics here?
I don't know what you mean by that exactly.
It's in look up the calculation for them. Assist rate is in these.
For what stat exactly?
I believe it's defensive.
I don't even see a formula for net points.
Yeah, net points. I couldn't find it. Which, by the way, well, this is what I found for that, and this is again why I think the stats are just flawed here. The way that they calculate that is based on part of it is where the possession originates here. So by default, big men are always going to score better because it's common sense that guards are going to bring up the basketball here. It also factors in the box score side of things as far as who's shooting the ball. A lot of it is avoidance of Jokić, which he gets benefits for. I think that's flawed. I think that's a bad way to look at basketball.
Well, just to say to your point about big men, AJ Mitchell actually has the 3rd best defensive net points.
Is he the 3rd best defender in the NBA?
No, he's not. But the Thunder's defense is that amazing that every Thunder, three of the top 5 guys are Thunders, because the Thunder's defense is that historically great. But the point is that, like, you can find flaws in the formulas for all these advanced analytics. They are used. Like, analytics are used to determine a player's impact on the floor, and used by teams to create matchup advantages and scouting and all this stuff. So you can't completely discount them.
And I also note, as I was doing my getting the weeds for research last night, I stumbled upon a Reddit thread of Daryl Morey arguing with like randoms on Reddit about why defensive numbers are flawed and do not matter, which warmed my heart a little bit there. So
he's absolutely a Reddit guy.
Oh yeah.
Reddit's definitely well known these days and used a lot more, but that definitely, that makes
he also was the guy based on his advanced analytics saying James Harden's the best offensive player of all time. So we're just going to trust. I mean, he's a basketball guy. We're just trust everything. No, he doesn't. He's going to trust everything Daryl Morey has to say.
And to say that, and then to have James Harden really not like him, come on, man. If he's going to put that out there in the public, that opinion, you got to be able to bygones be bygones.
Different era of James Harden there.
Yeah, exactly.
3-time scoring champ, 2-time assist champ. His numbers are nutty for peak James Harden there. I won't let that fully fly. We'll put the Jokić conversation to the side and wrap up with a couple final thoughts on NBA. We've also had some Derek Queen disputes here. Sam Oshtry, I welcome you to take your victory lap right now if you would like. He's getting a shine. Had a bad game last night, didn't play a ton of minutes. But Sean Brace, have you been tapped into what is going on in New Orleans with Derek Queen this year?
I was about probably 2 weeks ago. I was paying attention to it into the beginning. It wasn't really doing all that well. What have I missed?
He went on a tear.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows more than Brace of how much I was pumping Derek Queen's tires. So
I've been watching. Well, I was paying attention, and then the New Orleans Pelicans started off. They were terrible. They got 3 wins now. So what the hell am I missing when it comes to Derek Queen?
So I'm not going to take a huge victory lap. I knew I was right at the time. Obviously, I remain right.
You're wrong about the trade for the record here.
At this moment. No. But even before that trade, you were not a Derek Queen guy.
Agreed. That's the part I'm allowing you to victory lap.
I was a Derek Queen guy, though.
Yes.
Okay.
You were. Absolutely. I think the only thing I'll say, instead of doing a victory lap, because he's going to be a great player, he's going to be an all-star in this league. And I called him Baby Jokić, and everyone thought I was crazy for making that comparison. And then Jokić said the other day he sees similarities in his game to Queen's. But the only thing I'll say is I think sometimes we just need to recalibrate how we scout players. And look, I'm not a professional scout for a living. Teams have way more resources and eye for talent than I ever will. But I think we sometimes have to recalibrate how we're evaluating players. And that goes for the Con Knipple evaluation and the Derek Queen evaluation. Both guys who obviously, and it's easy for me to say this now, but I said at the time, who are obviously going to be really good NBA players. It's because of the intangibles they own, where it's their feel for the game, the pace they play with. It's not how athletic you are, how fast you can run, or how high you can jump anymore. It's the pace you play with, your ability to accelerate and decelerate, your balance, your feel for the game, your intuition, all these things that are just kind of obvious if you watch these guys in college, at least with Derek Queen and Con Knipple, and were easily translatable skills to the NBA. But for some reason, they didn't have the physical, athletic attributes that other players have, so they were lower on people's boards. And I think that's kind of just a lesson that a lot of people who talk about the draft and evaluate the draft can take for a living. Derek Queen is going to be a great player. The balance that he plays with, his angles that he plays with, his footwork, everything that I thought, his passing, everything that I thought he was going to be has showed up. And he's in a really bad situation with the Pelicans, but hopefully he gets that on the right path.
Yeah, and part of this is I'm just not a fan of that archetype of player, the flawed defensive players. And
clearly because of Jokić, that's pretty much the perfect segue, because that's what we've been arguing for the last however many minutes. But when are you going to learn that is the archetype of player that can contribute to winning basketball in today's NBA?
With the right personnel surrounding, and one of those guys who does have the right personnel surrounding is Alperen Şengün there. How many years until Şengün passes Jokić?
Well, never.
Because I do think for food for thought here, it is a little interesting, some of these stats when you do dive into.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that Şengün is probably further along in his young career than Jokić was at this point. I don't think he'll ever get to Jokic's level, because the level he's at right now is unbelievable. But Şengün can be an MVP candidate for years. Wow. Like he's that good, and he's untouchable. He's the best player on the Rockets as far as I'm concerned. He's a top 10 MVP candidate right now. And so I think Şengün is as good as it gets as a big man other than Jokić right now.
Yeah, we will see there. Sean Brace, before we wrap up here, I'm making you go to the table right now and place a bet for who the NBA Finals teams would be. Who are your two answers? We talked a lot about the West already. East, we kind of danced around. What's your early feeling at this stage of the season?
Yeah, there's no doubt it's Oklahoma City, right? Sure. Everybody's playing for second at this point in time. It's a good question, because are you buying into the Detroit Pistons? Do you think that they'll be able to have the success come playoff time? Because this team absolutely, in my mind, will continue to win this regular season, and will be a team to watch out for when it comes to playoff time. But, the Knicks are definitely on my radar. The Pistons definitely on my radar. Not so much the Cavs. Maybe they are able to do it after what took place last year. It's a tough one, man. It really is. As we said going into the season, it is wide open. If you made me make the selection right here, right now, wow, that is a tough question. I would hate to say the Knicks. Yeah, I'd probably say the Knicks.
Wow.
Yep. I would say the Knicks. If you made me make that selection right now, just because of what has taken place all these years, putting it together, once playoff time comes around. Again, I'm not believing what I'm saying right now when it comes to that, but if you made me make a selection right now, I'd say the Knicks and Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals.
Sam Oshtry, I assume you have the exact same answer there.
I mean, I can't argue with the Thunder, but my preseason pick was the Nuggets, and I'm not gonna get off that, so I'm still gonna say the Nuggets. And yeah, I have the Knicks. I haven't been entirely impressed from what I've seen with the Knicks, dealing with some injuries now. No OG, Mitchell in and out of the lineup, but Mitchell Robinson has been pretty disappointing defensively, and they've struggled defensively because of it. So I haven't been entirely pleased with what I've seen from the Knicks, but just in terms of their experience and talent, it's hard to see them not coming out of the East, especially with what the Cavs have looked like and dealing with injuries they are. So yeah, I got Knicks Nuggets right now.
Can the Pistons continue in the playoffs? Or are they going to have that, that learning curve that all these teams, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, had to go through? Right.
I think they had it last year. I think last year was like the go through the fire that they obviously were beat by the Knicks in the postseason. They pushed that Knicks team to 6 games and gave them a battle. Like those were toss up games. That was not the Knicks outclassing this Pistons team. And I think they got better collectively. Jaden Ivey's just returning to the court now. That's a huge deal. They didn't have him in the postseason last year. Cade Cunningham is taking another leap in his game. Jalen Duren is an all NBA caliber player right now. The Pistons are the real deal. That would be my pick in the East. I would go Pistons Thunder for that conversation.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be shocked if the Pistons make it out. Like something happens to the Knicks, an injury or something, and the Pistons make it out of the East. They're legit. How about the Raptors too? Like, don't sleep on the Raptors.
I'm sleeping on them. I'm sleeping just fine at night.
They've won 8 straight.
I'm aware.
3 wins over the Cavs already. Swept the series season series against the Cavs.
Seems a little fluky.
Yes. They play hard. They know who they are. They've got a lot of third best players on a championship team, which has been my critique of them. They're going to win a lot of regular season games, and I've discounted them more than I should coming into the year. I don't think that team has any chance in the postseason.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick them anything, but like at the same time, no one thought the Pacers did this time of year last year, and no one thought their cast of characters, like when a team's greater than the sum of its parts, which the Pacers were last year, and the Raptors are this year, it's and they don't have a Tyrese Halliburton, but in the East is wide open. That's why I just wouldn't discount them.
I'll also throw out the Miami Heat here. They've kind of been laying dormant for a little bit. Norman Powell obviously suffered a little bit of injury. Khalil Ware looks like the real deal. Tyler Hero just came back. I like the way that team is playing, and that's the team that I have my eyes on as a dark horse. And I'll also note, why not the Philadelphia 76ers, man? Like, if we're being honest here, and as far as the optimism level, look around the Eastern Conference for how bad it is. At the bottom of the conference here, the Nets, the Wizards, the Pacers are basically already eliminated from playoff contention. The Hornets are 4-11. They're not really capable of like ripping off a string of wins, I feel. So it's basically one team that is trying to win that is not going to make their way at least into the play-in tournament there. So I do think the Sixers are going to at least get a ticket to the dance. And I think for all the critiques that they do have, you can throw similar things about the Bucks, the Celtics. You can run down the list. I feel good about the Sixers having a chance here. If things break their way, why not?
Yeah, that's a big ask. That's a big F. I'm starting to look at the Pistons in a different manner since this conversation. So might want to change my answer if I could go back and do that. But man, it's been pretty cool to watch them and the success that they've had, especially they played the Sixers 2 or 3 times right now, I believe, already this season. So watching those games, those battles, they've been impressive. And you know what's the Detroit Pistons? Like, man, find a way to keep Cade Cunningham if you can. Probably seems like he's going to be in a LA uniform sooner than later. But all in all, you don't think so?
No, I think he likes being the guy. I think he likes being the founder. I think if he wanted to get out of there, he would have done it already, to be perfectly honest.
He signed an extension. You got paid.
Yeah, well, we've seen plenty of extensions. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. There's no Nico Harrison in Detroit, though. But before we get out of here, we don't really get to talk any football in this show. Brace, are the Eagles going to be in the Super Bowl?
Oh, man. Defense, look, I think the defense can step up and especially come playoff time, win them the tough games. But this offense has just been it's so inconsistent, right? Like, that's the only thing that's been constant this season is you just don't know what you're going to get. They're not as good as those first 3 drives against the Cowboys. This is a team that, leads the league and could be considered one of the all-time leaders when it comes to 3 and outs. Like, you never want to be that team. And here we are. It's just in the nonsense, the vibes, like it's just something is off. But, they find ways to win these tough games. So if you put them in that playoff spot, like, are you really going to pick the Detroit Lions or Jared Goff on the road? Are you really going to pick Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers over the Eagles on the road? The Rams are the Rams, but guess what? If the Rams finish with the 1 seed, you'll play them in the NFC Championship game. I think the Eagles can beat anybody, but look, like this is just so tough to say with your chest because of how dismal they've been on offense. It's been atrocious.
Are you more of the camp? This is a Kevin Petula thing,
or this is an offensive line thing. This is an offensive line thing, man. They got to fix that. They can't run the football. Saquon Barkley is still fast, still making moves. Like, it's not him losing a step. Is there moments where he could probably do some things differently? Sure. But, man, that offensive line is atrocious. It starts and ends there.
And it's not getting better.
No, that's the issue. Maybe Lane comes back healthy.
I do think it's a combination of the offensive line is not getting the push. At the same time, Saquon's lost a step. And, like, that's the running game. It's not one or the other. It's a combination of both, and that's why they've really struggled to run the football.
I think defenses have been able to really figure this offense out. So that is a Petula thing. I think when teams are seeing Saquon in that backfield, they're, let's bump another player up into the box. He was able to break those tackles last year. He's not able to do it this year for some odd reason. Putting Tank Bigsby in there is not the answer. Tank is a nice little, 1-2 punch. That's sure. But if you're not getting the push up front and you're not able to win those one-on-one battles like they did against the Cowboys, they lost all those battles in the second half, and you saw the difference. So I'm worried. I'm definitely worried, but I still am going to have a hard time picking those teams when it comes to playoff time. The Eagles are going to be in the playoffs. The Eagles are going to win the division, hopefully have the 2 seed, hopefully have the 1 seed. You never know. I mean, they're right there. This is a game. There are 7-point favorites against Chicago Bears. That Cowboy game was the game I circled. Everyone has their own game. I circled the Cowboy game. Now everyone's telling me this is the game. This is the game. They're 7-point favorites. Who the hell are the Eagles to give 7 points?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. It certainly feels like the panic meter is at a high there. But Brace, I appreciate you popping on with me and Sam in the first place here. This was an awesome new episode of Pace and Space. I know you're on every Thursday with John Marks on 97.5.
Yeah. We're all over the place. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna figure out the holidays, and then January supposedly is when we're gonna start locking some things in, which is cool. I'm fine. But I appreciate that. Yeah, look, I hope to be doing more with the holiday fill-ins. People need some time off, so definitely give everything a follow over there. And we're getting the YouTube page over at the Gambler Gang USA going, and we got some irons in the fires. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you guys are tapped into that. Give the Gambler Gang USA a subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, passing it along wherever you are listening. I appreciate you guys for tuning in for another episode of the Pace and Space podcast. For myself, Sam Oshtry, and Sean Brace, this is us signing off, and we'll be talking to you next time. Peace.